Welcome to this week's edition of Outdoors Online, a weekly webcast produced by the North Dakota Game and Fish Department. I'm your host, Tom Jensen. My guest this week is a familiar face. Jeb Williams is, of course, the Wildlife Division Chief for Game and Fish. We're going to talk about the upcoming firearms deer season. Jeb, it was kind of tough drawing a tag again this year in some units.
It was, Tom. Yeah, 49,000 licenses were allocated by the department this year, and as we know, that's an increase from last year, but it's still doesn't meet that demand out there, obviously, that we have from the public standpoint of around 90,000 people that would like to deer hunt, and so there's still some people that are going to have to be sitting out the deer rifle season this year.
But at least it's trending in the right direction.
That's the positive, is that we at least hope anyway that the deer numbers did bottom out last year when we issued right around 43,000 licenses, and so hopefully we're going to continue to work our way up and be able to find a more reasonable balance as far as the number of licenses being issued to the public.
Season isn't that far away. What can people expect this year?
Well, I think anecdotally so far anyway, from what we've been seeing and hearing reports of from over the summer, and then now that the archery season has been open for over a month, hearing a lot of reports from individuals that I think for the most part deer across the state have been improving in numbers. You're seeing that traveling too. We kind of laugh at that sometimes about how you make the comment about how it's good to see roadkill deer again, and and what we mean by that is it's good to see that there are more deer out on the landscape to where that we're actually seeing roadkill.
You'd rather see them in the field instead of on the highway.
Right. But it's a piece of trend information that that we use, of course, when we look at deer numbers, and people just use when they're traveling. Again, it's just simple trend information, and so there are more deer out on the landscape in the majority parts of the state, which again is a good thing, and we hope that trend continues.
You do have some areas in the state, Jeb, that are holding very good numbers of deer.
We do. The southwest part of the state has really been a place that, for white-tailed deer speaking anyway, that's been a part of the state that has not seen the lows of deer numbers. They have some challenges down in that part of the state, or at least have had some challenges with disease issues when it comes to EHD, which definitely can fluctuate those numbers quite radically. But overall, the numbers have maintained pretty well in that portion of the state. And that was an area of the state that this year, when we actually did have a few remaining licenses left after the second lottery, and that's a part of the state that there was still some opportunity left.
You do have some areas, of course, that are a little bit slower to rebound, shall we say?
We do. There's no doubt that the eastern part of the state in some areas has been pretty slow to recover. But again, we know that the condition of the landscape is a lot different than what it was 10 years ago. And you take all those things into consideration with CRP, with tree rows, all those things that are pretty inviting to white-tailed deer, and then you remove those from the landscape and they're not as inviting to deer. So again, we're just not at a point in time where those deer numbers are going to be like they were 10 years ago.
There were a number of years where we did not allow mule deer doe harvest because of low numbers. How's the mule deer herd coming? Is it rebounding nicely?
Very nicely. Yeah, our big game staff just got done doing the fall mule deer survey, and while all the data isn't complete yet, I think, again, like we talked about earlier, anecdotal reports are saying that mule deer numbers are looking quite good. Reproduction appears to be very good out there. A lot of twins being reported to us. Speaking with a few landowners, especially south of the interstate, that things definitely appear to be headed in the right direction, and people are pleased that we did put the doe harvest back into place in some of those units out there, because it's getting to the point where we need to, and hearing from some landowners about that to try to balance that population a little bit. So 4B and 4C are two units that we did not put that back in yet, and so but I would suspect that after this year, as long as we don't get really blasted by a really tough winter, that there will be opportunity for antlerless licenses in that area, again, to balance that population, considering private landowners, winter livestock feed supplies, and just having that good balance out there with the mule deer population.
Jeb, a couple of years ago, the deer harvest lagged a little behind because of the actual crop harvest. We had a very wet October, crops didn't come off. How are we looking this year as far as the crop harvest goes, and how is that going to affect our deer harvest?
It appears that there will be a significant chunk of the row crops that are harvested by deer season, but that can also change within a weather pattern type situation where everything does get really wet and then of course it's not taken. But there is a pretty good start out there on both corn and sunflowers in various parts of the state, and so I think there will be a pretty good chunk gone by when deer season gets here.
Any new rules and regulations people need to be aware of?
No, just a good reminder to keep up with the guide and
read the proclamation.
Read the proclamation, and should be in good shape.
All right, Jeb, thanks.
Thank you.
If you're looking for a place to drop off your deer head for the CWD monitoring effort, you can find a complete list on the Game and Fish website at gf.nd.gov. The 2016 North Dakota Firearms deer season opens at noon on November 4th and lasts until Sunday, November 20th. The muzzleloader season for deer opens the following Friday, November 25th, and ends on Sunday, December 11th. For Jeb Williams and the rest of the staff here at North Dakota Game and Fish, thanks for joining us for Outdoors Online. We'll see you again next week.